Okay. So, super busy this past week. So I couldn't do a stream Friday or Saturday. Uh, so just getting back into things today, and just wanted to go over what we kind of went over last weekend, what happened, do a recap. And so basically, some of the things we had discussed was second week of defining the game concepts and going over a lot of different things, the level system, dungeons, and whatnot. So we've updated that documentation. That documentation's on GitHub. Um, and we'll go again, we'll review it one more time today, and that's going to be the last time we kind of really try to dive deep into it and try to define everything and really make sure that we have a good idea of what we want to make before going on. And so let me review some of that. And then I'll define like, okay, what we're going to do today, because we'll probably go over today as well, like planning for conventions and creating demos in the future. Let's see. So yeah, I really knocked out a lot of stuff. The game style, we had talked about what kind of theme we want to have. We kind of picked on space fantasy, what that's going to be, and kind of wasn't clear on the whole idea what space fantasy is. I think essentially we came down to is that it's a fantasy game just in space. Um, so there could be a lot of different types of creatures we have, little uh, extraterrestrial creatures, maybe fight scenes in space rather than being on Earth, like on a plane. Um, they could happen like maybe we have different suits, outfits, ships that we can use to travel between maps in the game. Uh, so thinking about that now, thinking about that theme here, um, and kind of come up with some kind of story background here about getting an idea of what's involved. So city-sized ship, that's the whole player's world. What's happening there? We'll define like the story. Uh, they have quests throughout this world, and then whether or not maybe they go out on adventures for side quests. They actually leave the ship, hit other planets, and come back. Um, Maybe they hear about a specific quest. Someone's looking for a specific type of gem, or there's specific dangers happening on another planet that's close by. They can leave and go to that planet easily and transition back, hit that new world, and see all the different things. And I think having this kind of goes into future development of having different dimensions and world jumps that we can kind of transition between um, different art styles and different game themes that when we get more people involved, they will um, they can feel more free and open to suggesting their ideas instead of us trying to like stick to a specific art style. Of course, we'll stick to a specific art style in chapters, and we may change it, but we want each chapter to be consistent. So art references, we'll have to come get art references, and we can post links here in this doc. The art style is definitely going to be 2D and sticking to the RPG style that's used in RPG Maker. So if you don't have RPG Maker right now, uh, I'm still looking. I haven't seen any discounts yet for it. I think the regular price is $60 or $80 right now. If not, I can try to get people more documentation on this because it's all local documentation from what I found. There's also this link here of someone else's creating the documentation for all the scripts, which is it's all JavaScript. So then we talked about the battle system. Uh, so dungeons, we want to have dungeons, and maybe as you enter a dungeon, weaker monsters are always at the surface, and then you dive deeper into the dungeon and searching for quests and treasures inside of each dungeon, or maybe a monster hunter different types of quests. So we'll eventually have someone who writes stories and writes quests for the game, and or I'll just keep doing it. And we'll, once we get to that part, we'll dive into it a little bit more. That will be all part of the planning that we do today. It's going to be turn-based, no real time. I think that just adds extra complications to this when we just want to focus on like a good game um, or game design, per se. Not that real time is a bad game. So turn-based. Again, this is something that RPG Maker already does. Makes it easier for us, and then we'll do a side view of those characters, kind of give a better ambient look to the surroundings rather than like a front or like a Pokemon style where we see the back of their heads and they face monsters on the other side. We can change to that maybe for like the bigger battles, like a boss battle. But I think a side view is much as, in my opinion, a little bit better to see, because we get to see the environment of the background a little bit more and see how animations can play out from one character to affecting another. We'll have this goes into the initiative battles, goes into the stats of the character. So we're saying that your speed matters in this game. If you're a fast character, you're going to attack first. If you're slow, you're not. So enemies are also part of this. So a lot of enemies may be fast type of enemy, and therefore they all attack first. So you have to be aware, cautious of what enemies you're attacking, and whether or not you can sneak up on enemies and attack them and have like a surprise attack, or they can surprise attack you. And we'll of course have like some AoE effects, and I think a lot of typical RPG games have that. Different traps, I was thinking this would be good. So in standard RPGs, there's some kind of bog or other effects in the environment that may benefit you or give a disadvantage to your characters or the enemies based on how they fight. So I think that's something to have. And then most likely to get more variety of things inside of the world. We can have battles inside towns, cities, dungeons, and then out in like meadows and farmlands. Going over some bosses. We definitely want to have, like we talked about before, saying we want to have different fighting styles for bosses, or stronger monsters. Once you hit like 50%, they change their battle style. And I was hoping to get more monsters stats. I had posted in the chat that, hey, if you have character ideas, monster ideas, we want to start creating those characters now, so we can start providing them to fleshing them out more, so we can add them to the game, and so we can start doing better planning of what we want to have the game. Because what's further along, what's better planned, it's going to be easier to get in the game. Let's see. Then we talked about the leveling system. We had talked about, of course, you're going to be able to level up through fights, and there may be other stats that get increased and that change based on like decisions you make in the game, and of course all your weapons and skills apply for this leveling system. Sticking to the kind of the D&D style of things, we have specific hidden stats that are going to be there for characters and players that will benefit them in certain ways. So you want to have like a high intelligence or high wisdom to do more magical things. And that's all going to be based on the class you select. We have we're talking about some main character stuff. Okay, so the characters themselves. So we won't really have a main character generator. I mean, maybe if a lot more resources, a lot more people come in and get involved, maybe some of us will try to make a character generator, which would be like in game. You can customize the hair, the look, eyes, ears, skin color. Um, but since that's requires a lot of pieces of art, that can get to be a lot of work. So right now we'll just have like a lot of predefined characters, which would be part of like the character selector. So you pick uh, a class, and that class would be a knight, and then you can pick a race. So we'd have predefined character arts that fit into each of those classes and races. So we talked about that last week. And then subclassing. So that really doesn't change anything. It just changes your skills that get involved with those individual classes. And the same thing, that would be the multi-classing as well. So other artwork that we would have to get into, and once we define like what the first location is going to look like and what that first location is going to be, we'll start doing that. So and then I want to go over what the expectations are for each plan. The alpha 1, which would be ending around like June 1st, then alpha 2, and then beta 1, beta 2, and then for like the level up expo that we want to go to next year, and getting ready for that. So let's see. So I think we've gone over that. I think everything's looking good. I don't think there's much else to add to this. I think we have a good idea of what we want this game to be. So now we just have to start defining those things specifically. So let me go to, and then seeing like exactly what we can fit into the plans for alpha 1, alpha 2. So actually let's go over that, because kind of go over specific things that we want to have. So alpha 1, since that's only like 2 months away, we can have something like, I mean, of course we need at least the main character done, right? We need to have main character. We need to have like maybe a few enemies. I'd say like 3 is a good starter, which means that we need to have some combat done to at least display them. This might be easy, because if we're just using what RPG Maker's already has, it's pretty straightforward to set up. We need to have, this includes art and stats defined. And same thing here, includes art and stats. This goes with static art and animations, not just concepts. If we go with art that I already have, that's fine. If people want to start suggesting or committing their own artwork to the game, that's also fine. Just got to know beforehand, so we can, when we create alpha 1, that build, we then we're not showing incomplete artwork, which is what we don't want. We want to show complete artwork. It can be missing some animations, but the whole character design itself should be completed. That whole look should be completed. So, and that goes into presentation, not showing something that looks incomplete, because people are just turn away from something that looks, maybe it's only 20% of the way done. If we show like a complete first level, people will believe that it's going somewhere, that it's made a lot of progress already, instead of showing, okay, we have 20% of level 1, 10% of level 2, or we have half of character 1, half of character 2, and then we have 5 other characters that are in concepts. Let's work on, like, focus on one character, flesh it out, and so we have something better to present, so we get bigger following. As for some story, if we talk about, so this could be art that we want to be done, then we've got some game design stuff. And then we have story. So some of the story stuff that we want to have is we need the backstory of the character, the main character, right? And some kind of summary of the larger story. And maybe an idea for the first quest. Right, so, and of course, like with art, actually, since we're gonna have story, we should have some other, like, so RPG Maker has a title screen, call it that, title screen art. We don't need a name for a game just yet, but we should come up with some temporary name, some working title name. What else do we have? What the menus should look like, the UI, the GUIs, HUD, and then like have an idea of what that should look like. Do we start implementing it now? I mean, if we come up with something good, cool, because we have, with RPG Maker, and since we're making an RPG game, we'll have like a lot of talk sequences, so a border to the text messages that show up, when they bring up the inventory, when they bring up character stats, what does that look like? Are we going to make something custom? So things like that we need to start looking into talking about. So beta 1's definitely going to be, or sorry, alpha 1's definitely going to be very, very early, but it's going to start bringing everything together, give us a solid idea of direction for how things should be done and whatnot. So, and I think, yeah, main character, 3 enemies, or 3, I shouldn't say enemies, but just NPCs slash enemies. Get a general idea of who we have. Some background art, I would say 1. And this could be just like the opening sequence, opening scene. So alpha 1, considering how at the rate we're going, most likely won't get to a battle scene unless there's like an immediate battle at the very beginning of the game, which usually doesn't work out well, throwing people into combat immediately. But instead we'll have, with an RPG game, there's a lot of story that's first driven, and so we'll probably do the same thing. So some of the game design stuff, this would involve like getting the stats for the characters, right? Defining the stats. I should say implementing the stats. Because RPG Maker already has all the inventory setup stats, we may have to modify it based on like what we want have in the game, but usually we're just going to have to just insert some formulas, add those values, variables into the RPG Maker to define what characters. So that should be something very straightforward. And this is something too that if we have more characters, people start defining monsters and NPCs, this could be something that gets far ahead. let's see. So let me make a new file, and I'm going to call this planning. Let's open that. Tutor. And I'm just going to copy that. Just do this. Save. Yeah, I mean, with all the conventions closing down now, I don't know what conventions we'll be able to do, but maybe Alpha 2, which would be the end of summer, we can start looking for conventions to go to actually start demoing the game. And I would look for something that's in California or Las Vegas. Those would be closer to me. Well, we'll see. So Alpha 1. And then I think, where's my other doc? Let me copy this. Actually, I can just cut this out here. Maybe I do that. Right. Yeah, I'll just get that out. Oh, I'm just checking that I'm recording. Not you. Okay. Okay. So, art. Art. Oops. And then we'll do game design and story, sound. And if I'm forgetting something, forgive me. These are pretty much the main things that I think about for production. So, I mean, there's marketing, social media stuff too. I guess we can do that. I wouldn't worry about that until beta. So, again, like we'll start posting things, but nothing just to get a following. Nothing too crazy. Okay. Story. Let's see. So, oh, I realize my chat doesn't have. Sorry. I don't know why my Discord link's not showing, but it's in the channel, I guess. Anyways, getting distracted. So I'm not gonna say yes. So includes art, which would be static and animation. And let me define this a little bit more. So okay, so we'll go with characters. This title screen, I mean, this could be something temporary or a little bit more defined. It'd be nice to have some of this stuff knocked out early, rather before than later. But let's see. So what kind of art does it need? So we need like of course the moving character. I'm trying to think of the I guess game character, which would be walk, run. Actually, I don't think there's really a run. I guess we could make one, but we'll just have a walk. I don't think there's really a need to run through the RPG game just yet. Maybe we'll find a reason to, and we'll add it. But right now, I don't think there's a need to run through the game. So walk. We don't have to worry about attack animations because we're not going to be able to get to the attack stuff yet. Walk animation. So what I mean by game character, I guess I should define this, is the character look in the game world, right? Then we have the profile, which is the look in chat, right? When it's chatting with other characters. Then there's the side view, or look in, look in battles. Then sorry, I don't like the formatting here. And again, if whoever's doing these character designs, I mean, most likely we're probably going to be getting to some of the game design stuff. We're going to be, since we've been talking about game design, we're finally going to get to game design and implementing it in the game this week. I will probably start creating some stats for characters this week and put them in the chat and then add them to GitHub. So, and then just use one of my characters that I already have for the game, because I wanted to use some fantasy characters I already have. I bought from the main RPG Maker MV set for this, and I posted that in the Discord as well. And if you don't have the Discord and haven't joined, it's in my Twitch channel on below the videos. So and go and feel free to join. That link should be open to everyone. If it's not, just message me. Okay, so what else is there? I think that covers that, the main character. And it should be the same thing here. Oops. Um, so what it looks like in the game world, you know, moving around. Profile, what it looks like in chat. Of course, enemies. Maybe enemies could have be part of the chat, right? Maybe some of the main villains um, will have a profile. Um, what they look in battles. Walk animations, and we'll worry about battle animations later. Uh, so what else we need for this is that we need to define those 3 characters so that we don't. So when I go down to like alpha 2 and say, oh, we're gonna have 3 more characters, well, we know we're gonna have these 3, whichever, if it's Billy, Joe, and Bob, then we're gonna have 3 other characters in alpha 2, right? And I think 3 characters would be pretty straightforward because I still want to use my guys. Let me bring up the Discord chat. Hi everybody. Let's see, where is it? I think I put it in the right place. And of course, like if you're not in the Discord channel, check it out. These guys, right? And so I'm probably gonna start with just these guys and say, hey, who's gonna be the main character? I don't know yet. I realize like all of them are looking left except for this one, this one. She's kind of looking right. Well, she's looking. Eyes are going left. Face is facing right. She's facing right too. But okay, I don't know. But I'm probably gonna pick one of these guys to be the main character for me. Okay. I think that's it for each character. So this would be 3 NPC or 2 NPC, 1 enemy, doesn't matter. Like I said, if we use those, then this is already done. We just give them names, give them stats. As for the title screen, it comes with temporary titles already, generic artwork. I don't know if I have any of the art packages, or if any of my art packages that I have for RPG Maker has title screens. It might, but I'll come up with some other temp title, maybe like Space Fantasy game. All right. I think I can do this. Nope, that didn't work. Yeah, I mean, by Alpha 1, I mean, we should have ideas already done, right? So the idea would be defined UI look. And this is going to be, I want to say, the border look and form, inventory, stats, chat box, whatnot. Okay, and so and again with RPG Maker, it's already got a look and everything defined there, and we can just go with some of the defaults, or we can look online, see if someone has other items defined and whatnot. And then one background. Actually, I shouldn't say background because this is a world, like it's an RPG world, right? So we need to have like the first town, and this kind of goes into the story of okay, what's gonna be. So we need to have like the first scene, I should say, first scene created. So I think this is a pretty decent list because we're in March, right? So April, May. So we have 2 months to kind of get this together. and that could be the temporary title, and then we have a good title screen defined. Maybe we'll change it later, but we should have something so that when they launch the demo, it always has something presented. And then again, there's some default stuff we can use for this stuff that's already comes with RPG Maker. Again, that's another reason why I picked RPG Maker, is because of all the stuff that's already defined and how easy it is to use and develop. And I've been wanting to develop a RPG Maker game for like the past 3 years and just haven't. So finally time I sit down and do it. So the game design would be the, again, main character. Actually, since the main character, so this isn't it. So the game design, because the game design, the main character can be one of many different stats. So what we need to define are the classes. So classes. So we'll do three classes defined with all stats and skills. And then the 3 NPC/enemies with all stats and skills. Okay, and so what does that mean? Right, so what are the stats? All stats. Well, we should know what all the stats are. We should know what the skills are, because this is all defined in the skills as defined in get this better written, with all stats and skills as defined in classes document. NPC enemies document. And so that's all that means. Get the stats in. That's it, right? So when you create a character, you can see its stats. You go right into the start menu or the settings menu. You can check out their inventory. You can check out their stats. Cool. So that's all that means. So pretty simple for that. We just have to define it on paper and then add it into the game. So cool. For story, I don't think we need to have too much with the story here. Really tired. Let's see. I would say, yeah, backstory of the characters. So like, this isn't really something that people would see in the alpha, unless we gave some kind of like long drawn out story. But we should have some dialogue, some backstory of the main character, summary of the larger story, when this would be documented. And then I can make this document too, actually. Let me go here, touch, story, do storyline. And then there's another one I was going to do. Dialogue. For me, I like to have dialogue separate than the story. So the story would define everything, the whole like broader scope, and then some of that would be part of the dialogue. Dialogue would jump into some of that, but other dialogue could be NPC 1 says in town 1 says these things, right? And so we can go to those pages and say, okay, well, Town 1 has these dialogues. Town 2 has these dialogues for characters. Then we can just add those. And people can easily add to these things and say, cool. And again, as people start working with the game as a community, they can copy this project and just add it and say, hey, I want to submit this change to the project. And then I just confirm it and say, okay, yeah, that looks good. Have other people like fork the project. But no one should be able to like submit it without the whole team reviewing it, making changes. Which I don't think anyone can. I think everyone has to fork the project on GitHub. Anyways, dialogue. Since I'm talking about towns, so we'll say like, I don't know, town 1 dialogue. Since I don't have a name for it yet, we can always change the file name. Cool, Cubes. What else? First quest to find. Yeah, Alpha 1 seems like they'll be able to move around. Look at the characters, be able to pick a character. So I guess that's something else we have to add to. Select character class. Just say character class. Which should be pretty straightforward, I think. I haven't tried it. That'd be something I can start working on this week or next week. Once I start defining all the characters, then I'll add all this stuff to the to-do list on Trello, and then people can like pick things up and say, okay, I'm gonna work on the main character. I have these ideas. Cool. Oh, I want to work on I want to create an NPC character. They grab that. Grab an NPC. Grab another NPC. So like this. Dang it. Okay, go. So to do, so we have main character. Then we have NPC 1, or enemy 1, whatever it's going to be, NPC 1. So just label that. And then NPC 2, NPC 3, and then what does that mean? It means define all stats by filling out NPC/enemy template. And so that template's already been defined. I think it's been, I know it's been started, but I'll go through it sometime this week so everyone can start coming up with NPC ideas. And we'll just open out template, define all items necessary in that template. Right. And so let's see. Character art submitted as well. And so I think that's really it. And so we'll just copy and paste that here. Boom. And I'll add this as game design and art. The one person should be able to do both. Or they can hand it off to someone and say, hey, I like this character. Who wants to do the art for this character? Right, so game design, art design. main character, same thing. And with the main character, it's going to be a little bit more. Fill out all class. Actually, you know what I'll do? The main characters is going to be based on the class. So right, this one should only be the artwork. So character art. Shoot. Okay, never mind. Let me change this one. Because what this one's going to be is the knight class, right? And so fill out knight template. Items necessary in that template. Character art submitted. Cool. Cools. And again, game design art. Okay. Let's add another card. This one's going to be a wizard class, and then we have the cleric class. And again, if people want to submit their own ideas in different characters, different classes, they can. Fill out the template, provide artwork. Ta-da! Your character is in the game. That easy. It's the wizard. Boom. And the cleric. And yeah, I mean, boom. And if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have artwork, that's fine. Submit the classes, the stats, filling out that template, and then talk to someone and say, hey, I've got this artwork. Can someone, or I have this character defined. Can you do some artwork for it? I think that'd be great. Thanks. Please and thank you. Traditional art style. I think we kind of discussed this as the game theme. So I'm gonna just like put this in like done. I'm gonna ignore this one. This is kind of what we were supposed to do this week, but since I got really busy, I did not get a chance to do anything. And I think we've pretty much defined everything, and we're going over planning now. And we'll be able to kind of do more later. What the heck? Can I not delete this? Yes, archive. It's not. Archive, I guess. I haven't used Trello that much. It seems okay. I mean, for a free tool, it's not bad. So we're still going over that. Haven't really talked about story concept, but yeah. So we have 6 items now in the to-do list. So people can pick up that however they want. Let's see. Select character class. Functionality, right? That's something we need. We're supposed to find opening dialogue for game, right? Yep. And I'll go over this a little bit more. I mean, we don't have to plan any further than this, I guess. Once maybe in a few weeks we define it and say, okay, well, let's plan what we're going to do next. Alpha, what are we going to plan? Beta, and beta 2. So right now, I don't think we have to go that far. And it's already been almost an hour. So, okay. Yeah, I think that's looking good. And then sound, let's get some, maybe, so title screen music. Almost forgot sound. Title screen music, and then maybe some background music. And this could be like town music or opening dialogue. Something subtle, very quiet. And then, or just like in Pokemon, each town has a different sound to it. You eventually go numb to. Same thing. Perfect. Alright, so I think that looks good. Put all this up. Alright, so that's all going into alpha. Yeah, that's it, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do more this week. Focus on a few of these items, to knocking out some of the character templates and stats for classes, and then some of the NPCs. I'll see how much I can do, but I think that's gonna be the next couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. So feel free to help out, type in. And I'll be back again to recap everything on Friday, so we can get further into things on Saturday, Sunday. Cool, cool. Thanks for joining. I'll see you guys next time.